Mr. Hinzmen, the purpose of your testimony here today is to demonstrate that Michael Cochran, and this is an old story, was duped by my client, Natalie Cochran, and didn't know anything about these contracts, right?
Yes.
Now, and for that matter, the other message there that you are telling the jury about is that Natalie Cochran was involved in the illicit business of contracts. Is that right?
Yes.
No,
That's
me
correct.
either.
Would you agree with me, sir, that throughout this trial, as you were sitting here, we have conceded that Natalie Cochran was a bad girl and she was dealing in those federal contracts? Did we concede it or not?
Did you concede to it? I don't know who we is.
Listen carefully. Is it true that Natalie Cochran has conceded that she was involved in the fraudulent scheme?
Yes, she
So
did.
that shouldn't be any surprise for you when you look at all these documents, that she is involved in these transactions.
The purpose of my testimony was to illustrate that Michael Cochran was not involved in the illicit transactions.
Michael Cochran wasn't involved in it. All right. I'm going to ask you. Looking at one of the examples. I do not recall which number it was. I think it's somewhere around 5 or 6. But you testified about this document, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
That document was telling you that on August the 30th, and I presume 2018, $1.2 million was going to be posted, right? See it there?
On August 30th, yes.
Yeah. Posted in the account of Mr. and Mrs. Cochran, right?
Yes.
Then on September the 4th, I'm sorry, the 3rd, $724,000 was going to be posted. May not be the 3rd because it's going to be a holiday, but it was going to be posted in the Cochran's account, right?
Yes.
And then $2.56 million next Friday was going to be posted in their account, right?
Yes.
Well, comes August 28th, no money in the account, right?
Correct.
Comes August 29th, no money in the account.
Correct.
Comes the end of September, no money in the account. Right?
Yes.
Yes. Well, come about that $2.6 million next Friday. So that's probably sometime, I don't know, sometime at the beginning of September, right? No $2.6 million coming.
Correct.
And Mr. Cochran doesn't know that. He is waiting for about $4 million, right? Right?
The last date put out on these is December. So between August 27th and December, it was over $300 million that he was
I
told
asked
was
you
due.
about these numbers: 300,000, $1.2 million, $724,000, $2.6 million. There's nothing about December there, is there?
December 21st on the next one down. 12/21, $131 million on 12/21.
I didn't ask you about that, sir. I asked you about the top,
Okay.
the exhibit. There's about $4 million coming to Michael Cochran, to his account, right?
To the business. Yes.
To the business where Michael Cochran is a minority owner, right?
No.
No? To the business where he has a joint account, right? Yes, sir. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. $4 million coming to my account, and I don't know anything about it?
That is correct.
And-
Well, he knows what's been told to him here
Okay.
about the
Well,
$4 million.
Fine. Then let me ask you this. We are now at the beginning of October. That $4 million didn't materialize itself. He is not asking questions, is he?
He absolutely is. The defendant had
is?
produced an audit
Show me in
ruse,
any of these documents, sir.
an audit ruse.
Show me any of these documents, these exhibits. When he is asking any questions about where is that $4 million?
We have,
Where is that $4 million? Show me any of these documents here that were admitted into the evidence, not some stuff about we did our investigation. Show me in any of these documents.
if you'll hand the documents back, I'll review them to see if I can find that.
You can review them all you want.
But I know that throughout the text messages that were reviewed, 1,224 pages of text messages were
I don't care about this.
numerous times that Mr.
Show
Cochran
me- show
asked
this jury-
where the
Mr.
money
Hinzmen,
was at.
Mr. Hinzmen, there's no question pending. I'm asking you to show this jury from these documents that Michael doesn't know, that Michael somehow is not surprised that the $4 million that was supposed to come to him at the beginning of September is not there. Show me.
He had been
Show
told
the
it
jury.
wasn't coming because of an
No,
audit.
No, sir. You look at these documents, show me if there is anything in these documents that indicate that Michael Cochran is or is not surprised by not getting $4 million.
Okay.
Your Honor, do me take the time to review all these documents? And
Well, if you can, go ahead, Mr. Hinzman.
I'll move quickly.
All right.
And I'm looking specifically for where is that $4 million that was supposed to come in September?
Would you restate your question?
Well, show me in any of these documents when Michael Cochran is asking Natalie or anybody for that matter, where is that $4 million or, well, 300,000, 3.4, well, there's more than that. 300,000, $1.2 million, $724,000, and $2.56 million. Where is it? It was supposed to be deposited. Now it's September, it's October, it's November. Where on earth is that money? Show me any of these documents indicating his inquiry about that.
Okay. On page 19, he's referencing the 1.6 million, having to wait for that. On
Okay.
page 20, when she says she's on the phone with Bank of America, he's asking, are we 1,000%? Because she's told him at that point that the money is at Bank of America.
Okay.
On page 21, he says, this is February 4th, the day that 3 days after he expected the money, he tells her that the money isn't there. She provides additional excuses for that. And then on page 22, dated February 4th again, she's telling him that the 88 million and 297 million will possibly show up today.
Not she's telling him.
4.8 million in the morning and 23.8 tomorrow. Again, another delay, and his response is
Okay.
shit.
All right. Okay. Show me.
You want me to go through the rest of the documents?
Hold on. Show me when there is going to be $108 million to be deposited in the account on October the 12th,
Yeah, it's right there on August 27th on the text that's being provided.
and $131 million to be deposited in November and in December.
Yes, it's right there on the text.
And he doesn't know that this money ain't there?
No, he
He's-
believes this money is coming. What's significant about August
No, I didn't
27th?
ask you. Are you seriously?
I can explain.
Hold on, sir.
Okay.
Are you seriously contending before this jury that he doesn't know that that $239 million is not there?
I'm telling
Yes or
this
no, sir?
jury that
Yes
Michael
or no?
Cochran does not know.
Yes or
because
no,
he
Your
believes
Honor?
that money is
Your
coming.
Honor, I'm sorry. Say yes or no.
Well, he's trying to explain, and I think we should let the witness explain his answer. Go ahead, Mr. Hinzman.
Michael Cochran has been led to believe that all this money is coming to their accounts for government contracts, and it never comes.
And I presume that in September, October, November, December, and January, he lives in the same household as Natalie Cochran, right?
He does, yes.
He certainly doesn't live on another planet. He can talk to Natalie Cochran about these contracts on a daily basis. He can talk to her, can he not?
Yeah, he does.
And he does. And he, on August 20, whenever, September, honey, where's that $8 million or $4 million? And she's lying to him, right? Is that your testimony?
And she says, oh, we're getting hit with an audit. Can you believe it?
On September 5th, she's telling him, oh, no, that money is coming, right? On September 6th, 7th, 8th, 30th, October, he is somehow duped by it. And he's so blind to it that he will not ask his wife, where is $238 million? And he naively and blindly believes that this money is going to be there and it ain't there. Is that what you're testifying to, detective?
Absolutely.
All right. Show me. There's nothing in these documents that talks about Michael's computer. Is there? Michael
Not in these documents.
arranging for these contracts on his computer as he's sitting in the bedroom while Natalie is watching TV and the kid is between them. Those documents don't deal with any computer operations of Michael Cochran, right?
No, they do not.
Okay. Those documents did not deal with any personal contacts that Michael Cochran had with the investors, including his own mother, correct?
These documents do not.
These documents do not deal with any checks that he wrote, as we saw in some of the exhibits here, on behalf of the companies, correct?
Correct.
For either services rendered or for consulting services, etc., right? These
Correct.
documents don't show that. These documents don't, these documents do not address any issues that, the detectives are coming and, maybe they should talk to the kids. Is there anything about that anywhere?
No, that wouldn't be anything like that.
All right. These documents, of course, do not deal, again, the same old story, with the lifestyle of the Cochrans, right?
These documents do not.
Honey, I'm taking you to Paris and I'm going to get you a Louis Vuitton bag for God only knows how many thousands of dollars because we have somebody else's money to live high on a hog, right? These documents don't deal with that, do they?
Not that depiction, no.
No, not that depiction. Well, they don't talk about
Taxes, schmaxes.
any of the wealth that the Cochrans, plural, have acquired through the illegal schemes and enjoyed for a long time, right?
These documents do not.
These documents don't deal with anything about Michael Cochran's health. Honey, I feel bad today, I'm declining, or anything of that nature.
There are references to him being stressed because of the lack of money.
He is stressed because he doesn't know.
In these documents I'm referring to.
He's like in a National Enquirer. We want to know, right? He wants to know, right?
He wants to know where the money is that they've earned
wants to know.
through what he believed was legitimately awarded government contracts.
Right. And yet he goes to a boat sale and buys himself 2 boats at the same time, right?
I don't know if he went to a boat sale. I know that he did purchase ATVs, boats, vehicles,
Right.
things of that nature that both he and his wife picked out based on text messages we read, or by her encouragement to make purchases because she had led him to believe that they had all
Sure,
this
she let him
wealth.
believe. And you truly believe it.
Absolutely.
All right. These documents do not show, these documents that deal with Natalie only, not Michael, whether he was copied on them. Do they?
Would you ask that again?
No, you look at any of these documents where Natalie is talking to Miss Petit or Chris Davis, where Mr. Cochran is not involved. Is there any indication that he is copied on those conversations?
Some of them, yes.
Yeah. So some of this he knows, right?
Some of it, but
Yeah.
not in the context that you're framing it.
Not in this context, of course. Okay. Now, when he talks on some of those messages, the jury will probably see that those conversations take place after Michael's death, right?
Yes.
So he cannot contract anything, Mr. Hinzmen, because unfortunately he's passed away, right? Right?
Yes.
And Natalie Cochran is continuing the scheme that she was involved in, but it has nothing to do with what Michael knew and what he didn't know because he's dead, right?
No, it supports the fact that it was her scheme because she continued it on.
Well, one of those exhibits, Michael asked, no, 16. Michael asked directly to pull out $9,500. From where?
From their personal account
To do what with it?
to have some cash on hand.
And that $9,500 came from where? They didn't have any income, independent income. That must have come from the investors, right?
That or rescue loans.
Well, is it possible that since they have no income, independent income, you testified that Natalie wasn't working as a pharmacist anymore, and Michael's job was an IT man, not really defined, that he's pulling $9,500 in cash that must have come from the investors, right?
Yes.
So he pulls $9,500 that he considers money earned, right?
From previous
If
contracts.
yes.
Yes.
If he believes that, if he's so scrupulously honest, well, he must believe that this is the money that they've already earned on those contracts, right?
Right. He's not aware that they're illicit proceeds. He thinks they're legitimate proceeds.
Right.
Right.
What does $9,500 tell you as an investigator of money laundering?
Well, that
Cash. I'm going to ask $9,500 cash. What does that tell you? You're the expert here on money laundering.
sure. In this context, it means nothing. In the context that you're framing it, it references currency transaction reports. Those are a federal requirement under the Bank Secrecy Act.
Well, let me ask you
Where-
this. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Well, I'll ask a very specific question.
Well,
Are
the witness should be permitted to answer. Go
explain
ahead,
that
Mr.
$10,000
Johnson.
cash.
The Bank Secrecy Act requires financial institutions to file what's called a currency transaction report for any transaction involving $10,000 of U.S. currency, that'd be cash or coin, in or out of a financial institution. It is a derivative of the Patriot Act and the war on terrorism, so they want to track large amounts of cash. So if a withdrawal from a financial institution were to occur above $10,000, the bank would be required to complete a currency transaction report and document that transaction. In this case, however,
Well, I'm
the
sorry. Now,
Cochrans
now
had
let me,
cash
I'm
inside
sorry,
a
I'm sorry,
safe.
Your Honor.
Okay,
Now the question is this.
fair enough. He's answered the question. Go ahead, Mr. Victor.
$9,500 in cash is obviously under 10 grand, right?
It is.
And he withdraws that amount of money in cash, right?
Yes.
Would you agree with me that he does that for the purpose to avoid the $10,000 money reporting necessity?
No, it would not.
No?
That's not illegal. It's not an illegal act. It's when that is anything 10,000 or more is
Right.
taken out in multiple increments over a short period of time. That would then trigger what's called a suspicious activity report
Right.
with the bank that ties back into the currency transaction.
And
report. So
that's
that-
why-
that amount alone is not illegal.
And that's why he's taking $9,500 rather than 10,000, because he would have to report it to the IRS.
Your Honor, that's speculation. There's no way the
Wow.
witness could read this.
Sustained.
All right. What about those income tax returns that the parties filed jointly?
Those were prepared by Natalie Cochran. They were false documents.
They were false documents.
Yes.
And he signed off on them.
There was no signature of Michael on the documents.
For 2017,
No, there was not.
2018,
No, there was not.
2019.
No, there was not.
And you're telling this court that she filed taxes and he didn't know anything about the income tax returns.
That's correct.
So he himself broke the law by not filing income tax.
If he had known what was being filed.
If he had known, he would have filed taxes.
No, if he had known what was being filed.
Okay. So he didn't have to sign the income tax return because his income was zero? Why didn't he have to file income tax return with Natalie?
I'm not saying he didn't have to,
Why didn't he sign those?
because they're done electronically now. You don't even have to sign them. One person could fill them out and file them electronically. He doesn't have to sign it. Now, the law requires that all tax preparers review their documents that they're filing, but
And he reviewed them and he had absolutely no idea what Natalie was doing with the taxes and with the bank losses and with, well, the business losses, the business gains, et cetera, et cetera.
I have no idea if he reviewed them. If he had, he would further believe that he had made an extraordinary amount of money. on
Show
government
me,
contracts.
show me here any income tax return that lists about $4 million by the Cochrans. Can you do that? Can you show this jury?
No, I cannot. I don't have the discovery files and records with me to break
From
out,
your-
to break out the tax returns that we did recover.
From your thorough investigation of this case, because you said that several times, was there ever an income tax return filed by the Cochrans that would list $239 million? Can you tell the jury that?
I know that there are tax documents that were given as ruses to get bank loans.
From your memory, Mr. Hinzman,
But I cannot say if that figure that Mr. Victor has given me matches those documents.
$239 million, would that raise some red flags if you ever saw an income tax return from a small West Virginia company filed with the Internal Revenue Service? Would that cause you to pause and consider that?
In what context?
Well, somebody's making $239 million from a business and files that income tax return. I would like to know the details of it.
Are you talking about the IRS would want to know the details, or
Well, you were investigating their.
I've already answered that question. If I saw that, it's another prop. It's a ruse. It's not unsubstantiated by financial records, income records, state databases, federal databases. They would just, to me, if I saw that.
So you have
it would
no
be another
idea.
prop.
So you have no idea as you sit here today to tell this jury how much money Mr. and Mrs. Cochran were making and how much money they were reporting. True? As you sit here right now. Can you or can you not?
It's a very broad question.
Well, how much money did they make in 2018? Can you tell this jury whether they made millions or whether they made a couple of $1,000s here and there?
2018.
Yeah.
Are we talking about legal income or illegal income?
Income tax return. Remember?
The income tax returns that we reviewed were submitted not to the IRS because that would have got red flag, but to people that they wanted to borrow money for to demonstrate the value of the company.
So now you're telling us that Natalie didn't file income tax in 2018?
My recollection was that there had not been income taxes. No, let me correct that. The income tax documents that we recovered had been doctored to show greater income because they were used for other purposes. The actual income tax that was filed, which presumably would have been legitimate, we did not review.
I see. Now, okay, if I may have a second. I don't think I have any more questions of this witness.
All right, redirect Mr. Truman.
That's a mistake, Your Honor. Thank you.
Very well. Mr. Hinzman, you may step down, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. Copies or exhibits?
I think we've got the exhibits spread all around. Let's make sure that we collect